Welcome back to Studio 10, everybody. With more than 3,000 hits, 5 Gold Gloves, and 5 World Series rings, Yankee captain Derek Jeter is best known for his accomplishments on the field, but the all-star shortstop is also known for giving back to the community. And as a Tampa resident, he's made it a priority to do just that right here in the Bay Area.
His Turn 2 Foundation encourages kids to follow in Derek's footsteps, to make the right choices, and to give back. Studio 10 contributor Roxanne Wlder has more.
This summer, Derek Jeter reached a sports milestone, earning his 3,000th hit as a New York Yankee. But his off-the-field endeavors, they may be viewed as even more impactful. Here at the University of Tampa, his Jeter's Leaders held their annual leadership conference.
Jeter's Leaders are high school students committed to being good role models. Part of their week at UT included spending time with Jeter and his close friends. Hearing stories.
For me, it was a humbling experience.
Getting sound advice.
The more money, the more responsibility as well.
And tackling the issues teens face today.
There's a lot of issues teens have to deal with that I didn't necessarily have to deal with when I was younger. They've covered a wide variety of topics here. I mean, texting, while driving. Teens nowadays with the peer pressure and all the things that they have access to, I'm sort of happy I grew up a long time ago.
I know that everybody could see Derek's face when he was on stage, and it's like talking about texting while living and all this kind of stuff, and he doesn't know all that text talk and, you know, all these other things that are going on. It's scary. I don't know if I would have made it out of high school dealing with some of the issues that they dealt with.
My kids come home and say, you know, they saw this and that at parties, and we try to teach them best we can and tell them why they should or should not do things and stay away from certain people, and that's all you can try to do, because when they hit the streets and they're out on their own, you hope that you taught them enough that they'll learn from it.
You may not have sold the drug or shot a gun, but you're guilt by association.
One piece of advice from the captain: surround yourself with the right friends. His former Yankee teammates, Tino Martinez and Gerald Williams, mentored him from the onset of his pro career.
I like to surround myself with positive people, especially when you're playing a sport and there's a lot of negativity. You know, Gerald and Tino were always guys that were very positive with me, and you know, ever since I was younger, they sort of took care of me.
It was very easy to hang out with him because we all had the same beliefs. You know, we all were hardworking baseball players. We weren't troublemakers, and we just all had the same characteristics. So it was a pretty easy relationship.
I've had so much help over the years. People guided me in the right direction, and they've had impact on my life, and it has helped me to accomplish, you know, a few things.
Another piece of captainly advice: give back to the community. The Jeter's Leaders took their class act to a Tampa school where they planted and painted so these kids can have a better place to grow and learn.
They do need work on the field. They're dry and no plants and no life growing, so we're really excited to be planting plants and flowers that will make this place look more beautiful.
We're here to build a garden. We're here to build benches. We're here to just help serve the community and make it a better place.
This project is very, very special to us.
Sister Maria appreciates all that Jeter's Foundation has done for her school.
We lost our major funding 3 years ago, but they have remained with us the whole time. And Mr. and Mrs. Jeter being here to meet with the kids, they sat with them, they see them in action in the classes. So he's been kind of a friendly family relationship that we've had with them.
You can measure Jeter's influence in sports by numbers of hits, championships won. But he wants his leaders to know it's how they influence each other that matters most.
We all know the accomplishment that Derek has had and is continuing to have. The more he's doing to help others, to pour into others' lives.
I looked up to how he was viewed at school with his friends. He was respected. I wanted to be like him and liked by him.
You learned something. If you didn't learn something, then you didn't listen. All right.
For Studio 10, I'm Roxanne Wlder.
Roxanne Wlder with us now. Derek, okay, so you were saying he's never been married, doesn't have any kids. Where does all this come from? Did he have a rough upbringing, or what's his story?
Not at all. Totally the opposite. He had a wonderful upbringing, and he always looked up to Dave Winfield, who also played for the Yankees. And Dave Winfield had a foundation, and so when he got to the big leagues, he said, "I want to do this too." So he and his father over pizza one night were talking about it, and it was Derek's idea, but he wanted to do something where he was encouraging kids to turn away from drugs and alcohol and make good choices. So a pizza at dinner, and then 15 years later, they've given back $12 million to different organizations. Yeah.
Now, is the outreach targeting teens from all economic backgrounds, or is it specifically for kids who maybe are in, as Jerome kind of alluded to, rougher situations?
Some of them are in rougher situations. I think the bulk of them are. But then when you look at the Jeter's leaders who were at this conference and the kids, the high school students who we interviewed, they're the ones who they've actually been selected by the foundation to represent Derek and in a sense be ambassadors for him. So you're looking at kids who have good grades, who, you know, maybe their principal recommended them. So they're the ones who are kind of orchestrating these events, and the Jeter's leaders were the ones who selected which youth groups would participate in this conference that was here last week in Tampa.
It's interesting to see him front something like this. I was just reading in the paper today about, I guess he's a pretty private guy, Derek Jeter.
He's very private. He's very private. And, you know, by being the captain of the New York Yankees, you have to kind of learn how to protect information. And you don't want to be the guy who's giving the soundbite that everyone's running with and has just broken a story. So he's kind of mastered the art of saying things nicely, but not saying much. So
it seems like his friends really look up to him as well. And you were mentioning that Greg Jennings, who we saw there, didn't grow up with him necessarily, but came from the same city. Sounds like, you know, Derek Jeter was a legend there enough that he just wanted to emulate him.
Right.
Being from that same
Greg Jennings being from Kalamazoo and being now he's part of a Super Bowl champion winning Green Bay Packers team. He'd be the biggest athlete in his town, but he's got Derek's shadow to kind of share the spotlight with. But yeah, that's exactly right, Holly, is they forged a friendship, both being KZoo guys, and then of course you saw Tino and Gerald, and they were teammates who Derek spent years with when he was just coming up in the Yankees organization, and they've all kind of, you know, had those friendships endure over the years.
What's Derek making now?
Oh, come on now.
No, I'm just curious. How much is he making?
I can't count that high in zeros.
It's crazy, though. But I guess his house is finished over in
yes, it's an illion that nobody has really denoted yet.
Thanks, Roxanne.